Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Robert Raven here. Today we're going to do episode 12 of Eric/Maximilian solo campaign, and it is also the Halloween special that I've been working on, so I hope you all enjoy today's special episode. So when last we left off, we had just made a massive mess out of all the students that we ran into, and we came out and after being passed out for a week and met up with Gracia, and she began to give us some breakfast, and we start talking, and she tells us about what happened and how she's been out here waiting for us to wake up, and if we didn't wake up today, then she was going to leave so that she didn't miss the exam, because we're on day 2 of week 2, and she is trying to keep her distance from us because she's seen what happened and she's now afraid. But she's also glad that she was saved, and she says when we're done with breakfast we should head out. We have another encampment to get to that we can stay at for the next couple days until week 3, and then we can head to the last encampment to rest for the last couple nights, hopefully, if we make it on time before we go to the academy and do our entrance exams. So, as we're listening and eating our breakfast of rations that she gave us, which is more than normal because she gathered up all the rations from the people that we slaughtered, and we begin to head forward, and our first day of travel isn't really that exciting. Neither is the second day, which puts us at day 4 of the second week, and on day 5 of the second week we have been going through the woods, zigging and zagging for the past couple days, wondering if the trail is ever going to end. And right as we are thinking about if the trail is going to ever end or not, we come up around the corner, and as we come up and we come around the corner, we see that the path in the woods splits off into 2 separate areas, and Gracia looks down and checks her map, and she says that the second resting spot should be up here through this pathway, which is an old abandoned mine, and to the side is the old miners' houses that the school has refurbished and kept up to date and not falling apart so that it can be a resting area. And the houses have a barrier around them to keep monsters and stuff out away from students. And so as we come up around the corner, we notice that there is a huge cliffside with trees all up on. There's a huge cliffside with trees all up on top of it. And as we notice this, we see that there's 1, 2, 3 directions in the mine shaft of mine shafts. And she says she don't know which one leads to where we're supposed to go. All she knows is that the houses are here somewhere. And so we will roll a d4, and on a 4 we'll re-roll. And that is a 3. So we will take path number 3, 2, and 1. Alright, so we'll take path number 3. So as we start to go into the mine shaft, we notice that it's dimly lit and the lights are flickering. It's cold and wet and damp, and it has a weird musty smell. And as we notice the musty smell and we look farther down into the pathway, we notice that the lights farther down are beginning to fade, and it gets darker and darker, and we can barely see from the light that it looks like in the dark areas there are weird looking bluish mushrooms with red dots that are covered in fur. And as we come to the end of where the lights are no longer on, we begin to look around, and as we try to do we have dark vision, darkness sight? Let's see. Check my character sheet real quick. We have magic sight. Alright, so yeah, so we can see in the dark. magic sight allows you to see in darkness, magical darkness, and through illusions and transformations. And so, as alright, and oh yeah, we also have blind seeing. Alright, cool. And alright, so as we get to where the darkness begins, Gracia starts to panic, but as she begins to panic, our Void's creature, Good Boy, which that is what we have decided to name him, and he nuzzles up to her hand and takes one of his vines and like wraps it like around her wrist and like kind of gives it to her like a leash, and then starts to like lead her forward. And as we are both looking down the little bit of through the darkness that we can see, everything goes kind of gray, and we can't really see colors too much, only like really bright colors and like the mushrooms, and we can also now see this like purple oozy slime that's coming from the walls. And as we are continuing forward, let's roll a Dane. Let's see what our survival is. Alright. That's right. Alright, so we'll do a survival of 35. And that's 26 plus we got 26 plus 11. So that's 37. So we made it. So as we are walking through, and Gracia's not gonna make it. She's only got a 12. And our Voids, he gets the same bonuses as us, so he actually rolled higher because he got a 14. Gracia, as we're walking through, Gracia ends up stepping in this purplish ooze as we're walking through, and she like, as she steps in it, she begins to freak out and scream because it's gooey and it's getting stuck to her boots and her clothes. And as we continue to walk forward, and as we turn, and we at first didn't realize what she was saying and freaking out about, and then we notice as we're looking back and looking around that she's leaving footprints of ooze, and we look at her and we say, wait a minute, where did that ooze come from? I only seen purple crap coming from the walls. How's it on your feet? And she says, I'm not sure. I've just been like walking behind you with Good Boy leading me, and I can't see anything. How you were able to see and hear like a frickin' monster, I have no clue. And as she says that, all snarky like, we go, alright, well, whatever, and we'll check Good Boy's paws. And as we check Good Boy's paws, we notice that Good Boy also has ooze on his feet, but it doesn't seem to be bothering him. And so we just decide to continue forward. And as we continue forward, we're going to have her roll a DC 15 for her danger check. Nope, she rolled a 5. Alright, so that's 1 failed out of 3. So as we're walking and it gets damper and colder and the mushrooms get bigger, and they're like, some of them now, they're not only huge and like taller than, they're probably about like 8-9 feet tall and blue with red spots and white fuzz all over them, and they have a purple ooze secreting from their pores and their stems all over the ground and like the walls where they're touching. And so we said, alright, well, we've discovered where the ooze has come from. And Gracia starts freaking out, like, what do you mean where the ooze is coming from? And he says, can't you see that giant glowing mushroom? And she says, the what? I've been looking down at my feet this whole time to try and not trip, even though I can't see. And as she brings her head up, she can see the giant glowing mushroom, which lights up the room. And it also shows the pathway that's behind it. And as we see this, and it's like oozing all over the ceiling and the walls where it's touching, we notice that there is what looks like to be a hole cut in the center for someone to walk through the mushroom to get to the pathway that continues down the mine shaft. And as we look around and notice that there's not really anything else here, we will try and let's see what our persuasion is. Alright, that's right. We don't have a plus to our persuasion. So let's do a flat persuasion against Gracia. We got a 17. She got an 8. Alright. So we convince her to come with us through the mushroom, and she can keep holding on to Good Boy if she wants to for safety. And as we begin to walk through the mushroom, we can feel the gooiness like through our shoes as we're stepping in it, and it drops all over the top of us, onto our head, on our shoulders, and some of it drops onto our face and our hands as we're trying to like wipe it away, and it gets in our nose and eyes. And same thing happens to Gracia and Good Boy, except it don't get in Good Boy's face. It just gets on the back of his head and like falls through his vines, and then same thing on like his back and stuff. It falls on his back and falls through his vines, and gets him all goopy. And the 35 check again. Let's see. Good Boy rolled a 14. Alright, that's 7, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. Alright, I got a 33, so I actually failed. So I got one fail, and then Gracia got a 17. And so Gracia is at 2 fails. I have now got contact, and Good Boy is still a good boy, and he's all good. And we are, as we continue forward, and we're in, and we like just get outside the mushroom. Gracia begins like coughing and wheezing, and like her breathing starts getting heavy, and she starts to panic as she begins to see shadowy figures dancing on the walls where there is no light. And as we try to comfort her by putting our hand on her shoulder, she freaks out and swings and brings out her staff and lets loose a blast of magic and misses us, and it hits the wall, and it explodes on to the wall. And as it explodes onto the wall, and it begins to crumple the wall and shaking the cave and the mine shaft, as rocks and the ceiling begin to collapse around us, trapping us in this area of the mine shaft. And we only have the path that leads up now. We're trapped from the rest. And as this happens and the ceiling begins to collapse all around us, and we both begin to kind of like wonder what's going on. Gracia panicking and screaming as her voice piercingly echoes throughout the cave. making what seems like cracks in the walls get bigger as her cries enforced with her magic unknowingly is producing sound magic and bursting through the tunnel, creating echoes in the small chamber and causing this collapse to become even worse. And as this happens, we all now have to make our check, which she fails hers, and I failed mine, so I begin to feel the weird oozy feel on the bottom of my feet that she was starting to talk about. Excuse me. And Gracia, she begins to slowly get covered in ooze as the purple slimy ooze starts to secrete from all of her pores, and as it begins to secrete from her pores and she can feel the goopiness and the warm damp all over her body, and as her hair and begins to meld with the goop and become goop itself and take the shape of the hairstyle that she had, she begins to feel her base. Excuse me. And as she feels her face, and then she starts to panic, and then she starts to feel her arms and her legs and her chest, and she feels all the goopiness, and then she puts her hands together and she feels that her hands are all goopy, but she can't see, and so she's beginning to panic because sorry, I had to yawn again. She begins to panic as she don't know what's going on. She just feels like she's covered in all this slimy crap, and she knows that the purple ooze is all in this cave, and it's starting to freak her out. And as she begins to scream and run forward, letting go of the leash, we follow her, and we run into another mushroom up here around the corner. And as we run into this other mushroom, it's another giant mushroom touching the ceilings and the walls with a hole cut through the center for a walk path. Except unlike all the small ones that we've seen and the big one that we've seen back there, this one is purple with yellow spots and red fur. And it is also secreting the same purple-like ooze, and it's glowing up the room. And as the room glows and we are able, well, not the room, but excuse me, the mine shaft. As it glows, we can now see and notice that Gracia is secreting the goop from her pores as she begins to yell and scream and freak out. And as this happens, we need to make our save. Alright, 10, cool, we made it. And little boy, bam, he's made 3 successful. He's all good. The ooze that is on little boy begins to dry before it begins to bubble as it gets wet again, and then it vaporizes and turns to vapor in the air. And as that happens, we can hear a whistling sound followed by the sound of wood being scraped, tree bark being scraped on in the distance behind us. As we don't know this, but what's happening is right here it is, the mushroom that we were at, since the ooze that contracted to one of us is vaporized. It has slowly started to make this mushroom begin to dry up, and the scraping and creaking and whistling sound is that. And if all of us get uncontracted of the ooze, then it'll completely dry up and die. But that's not going to happen because Gracia is infected, and she is now under the control of the mushroom as she begins to hallucinate and yell and scream and launch her arm forward as it stretches out all goopy and then she flicks her wrist as her fingers throw slimy goop at us. And that's gonna be her first combat point. Let's see if she can hit us. A 7. I forgot what. Let's see what her plus to hit is. I have a note right here. It's a +1. So yeah, she's not even close to hitting that. Well, hitting our armor. So as she flings the goop forward, we move out of the way, and it splashes all over the ground and the wall behind us, and then she stretches her other arm forward at the same time as we're dodging out of the way, and she attempts to grab us where we're at. That's a 15. That's a miss. And as that happens, she gets angry, and then she begins to fill her stomach, and stomach gets all super bulgy and big as it begins to ripple upward through her chest and up and into her throat as she begins to gag before vomiting up and spraying purple ooze all over the place. And this one we can't dodge, and it's going to do 1, so 4, 8, 9, 10. Alright, so 13 plus her plus 1, so 14. Alright. Get my notes right here for my health. Alright, so that puts me at not much. Alright, and also, I forgot that also hits Good Boy. So that puts Good Boy at alright. And as that happens, that's going to make me have to roll another. Alright, cool, I pass. And as we are now covered in this slime, and I'm trying, let's see, we'll roll a 15 or 12. Alright, so we'll say I slip and fall prone, and as I slip and fall prone, Good Boy takes the chance to do his attacks, and he's going to spend a combat point to use his entangle, which grapples the target with his vines as he unwreaths the vines from off of his shoulders and launches them forward and wraps them around Gracia. She's now unable to escape until she spends 3 combat points to do so. And as this happens, he begins to roar and cry a little bit because he was starting to begin to like her, and he knows that we might have to do what is necessary in this situation. And so he then spends his second combat point to do a claw attack. And let's see if he hits. He's got an 11 plus his 9. So, or no, he's got plus 12, I have plus 9. So yeah, he hits her 18 for, let's see, 6, and ooh for 10. Alright, so, and that puts her at this. Alright, and as Gracia hits the ground from, almost hits the ground from us clawing her, we catch her with, because she's still entangled in the vines, and as good boy starts to cry even more as he notices that the ooze from where he clawed her is like a big claw mark chunk taken out of her stomach, but it's just like all oozy and there's not really a solid body there as it begins to blob back together and stick and reform into the shape of a body, and the ooze stuck underneath his claw begins to evaporate, and he then uses his last combat point to, let's see, 10, yep, and so he takes and he tosses her into the giant mushroom, and as he tosses her into the giant mushroom, and she like hits the mushroom, and she starts to like scream and freak out as she like makes contact with the mushroom. She begins to get visions from the mushroom, talking and showing how the humans came in here and killed all their kind and ate them and used them as light sources and did all these things while they were trying to find precious minerals and gems within this here mountainside of the forest. And the visions begin to slowly fade in and out and in and out, and Gracia begins to scream and go mad as her eyes begin to fill with a deep purple color, and she looks like all has been lost as she grows and into the inside of the mushroom, where the hole is filling the entire area before trying to step forward. But as she steps forward, let's see if she destroys the mushroom or not. We'll say it's an 18 to unroot it, and we'll give her a +2 because of her size now. So that's only a 12. Yeah, okay, 12 + 2, so that's a 14. So now, as she like comes like through the hole, she just like scrapes across like the ceiling, and like the sides kind of like indenting it, making it bigger and less as snug. And as she goes to like come out, let's see if we can dodge. Let's do a 15. That's a 14. What's our... Do we have a survival? Yeah, +20. We'll go with stealth. Yeah. Try and be stealthy and move out of the way. It's a +8. Yeah, so that makes it. And then we'll see if our voids makes it. Yeah, that's... Alright, he makes it. Alright. And so as me and Good Boy both like jump and roll off to the sides, and we hit the walls of the mine shaft because it's not very big, and she steps out and her foot like smashes down, and like ooze begins to like explode and burst forth in all directions from her foot. 10 damage to us both as she steps out. Alright. And we like try and get up, and as we get up and we look up, and we're both like shocked and amazement at the size of this now massive ooze Gracia monster thing, and we're wondering what is going on, what is all of this. And as we wonder this, she takes and she swings her arm forward. Oh my goodness, she got a natural 20 critical hit. She finally hits us because our armor is a 35. As she swings her arm forward in this massive sweep. Where's my D10? Right here. Let's see. Ooh, a 10. Ooh, 15. Ouch. Let's see. Alright, that puts Good Boy at 9. Puts me at this. Alright. And as that happens, and we both get smacked by her sweeping arm, it hits me first and throws me across the room, smashing me into Good Boy, and then smashing us both into the wall as it bursts a hole through the wall, and we fly through the wall into the next part of the cave, with the mine, which doesn't even have like a pathway. It's just like a massive hole in the side of the mound now that we're in, that she made by smashing us into it. And as she tries to like reach her arm forward to try and get us, we and she like drops the ooze on the ground to try and make it hit us by like dripping all over our bodies, by like reaching her arm in there and flinging her wrist around and grabbing at us and stuff like that. She only rolled a 3. So yeah, it just gets all over the the walls and the ceiling and floor and in front of us. And as that happens, I look at Good Boy, and we begin to feel a deeper bond and a connection as I stop panicking and start focusing on his determined look. And as I begin to stop panicking and he can feel that I'm putting trust in him in my heart, he unwraps the vines on his shoulders and his back as he grabs us, and then he places us inside. And as he places us inside, we begin to get a memory or a flashback or a vision of some kind of metallic seat that has controls, and we can see through the eyes of something that we feel as if we have a bond and are connected to. And as we snap back and we get in, we are now inside of our vine wreath voids. It is almost the same, except it's made out of all vines. There's a throne type seat made out of vines with pilot controls next to the armrests, and there are feet controls down at the bottom with what looks like to be a projection screen to see what's in front of you, and it looks like what we can see is through the eyes of Good Boy. And as this happens and we feel this bond happening, Good Boy begins to roar, and we can feel his pride and his happiness welling up inside as he begins to be covered and consumed in mana as he glows in a faint crystal ice blue colored aura from his mana, and us unknowingly using our Void's clan ability from our past that binds us together and grants him temporary hit points and a bonus to damage while we are piloting him. And so as we think to ourselves, all right, Good Boy, let's do this, and we put our arms forward, and Good Boy starts to charge as he's running, and he dashes through, and he bursts out the hole. And as he bursts out the hole, we're going to use one of our combat points to shoot and our vines out in all different directions upwards to like stick them into the ceiling. As we stick them into the ceiling and like bring ourselves up and swing ourselves up and forward, and using our other 2 combat points to to bite and claw at the target. And excuse me, I have to see which one is which. Alright, claw and bite. Alright, claw is this, bite is this. Alright, so claw. Alright, is that, and bite. Alright, and so that drops her to that. Alright, so as we claw and bite at her face, and before we drop down to the ground, we feel like a burst of energy. And as we feel this like burst of energy welling up inside of us, because when you're piloting on voids, your your combat points are combined, so we actually have 6 instead of 3. We feel this energy welling up inside of us, and as it like comes to, we turn around and we strike through 2 more times, trying to claw, or we're going to use 1 to burst our vines forth and wrap around the creature. And as we wrap around it, we're going to use our other 2. Okay, they hit to try and claw at it. Alright, 6 and 8. Alright, that's enough. And as we wrap around it with our vines, and it's like partially going through our vines, and like we're having to continuously like wrap more and more vines to try and like actually like pull it down, as our vines like keep like coming through the goop, and we have to like, keep more and more to like until we get a bunch of it gathered and like actually collectively come down and pinned, and we start clawing at it. As we start clawing and ripping it to shreds, we end up hearing the sound of Gracia's screams as she succumbs to the monster and the poison that infected her, as we were not fast enough to save her or find a cure. And as she dies screaming in pain, the muck dissolves and bursts forth, splattering all around us, and as it splatters all around us and then evaporates, everything begins to fade in front of us, as if nothing was even there to begin with. And as we turn around to try and see what happened, we are right back at the mine shaft opening, and Gracia is not with us, as we can hear the echoes and screams of something far off in the distance down the third shaft. We wonder what the terrible sound must be, but we're also not stupid enough to go and see. So we'll roll a 1, and we'll say a 1 and a 3 is Route 1, and a 2 and a 4 is Route 2. 4. Alright, so Route 2. So as we begin to go through the mine shaft of Route 2, we begin to get a familiar feeling as the dampness and the darkness lead to an area that's open, in which we see a big purple mushroom with yellow spots and red fur. And as we see this, we begin to think, haven't we seen this before? And, like, seriously, where's Gracia at? She was, like, just with us. And didn't we? Wait, we went down path 3. And as we realize that the sound down path 3 is the echoing sounds of Gracia finally succumbing to what happened, and we were somehow transported out of that area, as we try and turn around to go and run, the mushroom comes to life as it begins to come up out of what looks like the ground with its roots and his arms, and there's one big eye, and as it uproots itself, shaking the ground, splitting the earth beneath us, and we have to jump to one side so that the ground doesn't, or so that we don't fall inside the ground. And he looks down and goes, "Puny human, who has awakened thine from my slumber? I can feel nourishment from my children being fed to my offspores as we speak. It's been 1,000 years since the demons ran through this realm. Is it finally time? Has the king awakened? Will the humans once again feel our terror?" And as he's saying this, we are trying to walk away and, like, slowly step back, and in shock and amazement. Let's see what our stealth is. Plus, we got a 19, not quite. Need at least a 20 to sneak away from this thing. And as we almost get away, we're like so close. We're sneaking away as it's monologuing and not paying attention. And we're like just about to get around the corner when he notices us. And as he notices us, he goes, "Oh no, you will be my snack." Before he can start monologuing again, we are going to spend one of our combat points to wrap around him, and then we're going to use our other 5 to claw twice and bite 3 times. Let's check what okay. The villain's got an armor of 15. Alright, so that hits 1, 2, 3, 4, and that one misses. Wait. No, that one hits. And so, let's see, we'll do these first. 1, 2, so that's 7, 5, and 9. Alright, so, let's see, as we are clawing and ripping at the giant mushroom, he begins to laugh at us as he says, "Oh, puny little mortals, you swat at me like a fly." As he's got he only got 17 because he's got plus 10 to his attack, but he only rolled a 7. And so even with a plus 10, he still can't hit us unless he rolls a natural 20. Sucks to be him because we have an armor of 35. And so we are going to, he's going to try and hit us, and then he's going to try it, and as he tries to hit us and he misses, he starts to get angry as he swings and misses and hits the side of a tree, and we look and we're like, "A tree? What?" And then we notice we're back inside the woods, and then as we look around, we see footsteps and mushrooms and pathways all around us, and we realize, wait, this was never a mine. These mushrooms and their spores and this ooze has been showing us illusions this entire time. But since we didn't know about the illusion, we weren't able to see through it. And since we're now coming to this realization, everything around us looks as if we had never left the forest, with the big open area, and now instead of being a hillside, mountain, whatever you want to call it, with an opening and 3 trails, it's just a huge opening area in the forest with 3 different pathways, and 2 of them are covered in mushrooms, and 1 of them is not covered in mushrooms, and it leads down into a trail that tapers off into the left side of the woods. And as we notice this, as the mushroom begins to unleash its spores out in all directions in the air. And as we begin to breathe it in, we could start choking, and a good voice starts kind of choking, and before he comes back to being fine, and after choking and coughing for a little bit, and then he turns and goes to try and run to the trail that's off to the side over here. He tries to run away, because you don't know if we can beat this thing. And as he goes to run away, I think in my head, and he feels it in his heart. There's we shouldn't be running. We should be facing this thing and killing this stupid ass mushroom demon, whatever he said he was. Demons walk the world in 1,000 years. What is this nonsense? And as we're thinking this, and our voids feels this, he turns around, and as he we can feel his change of emotion and his determination. We go, oh yeah, let's do this. And as we get all pumped up for the first time, we begin to get filled with that feeling of mana, but instead of being filled with rage, we're filled with excitement and pride, and the want to just buck shit up. And as we feel this, the mana in us starts to pool and bubble, and it's purple instead of black, as it comes forth and out in front of the voids and takes shape of a crow, as we for the first time consciously activate our crow summon from our class ability. And as we're whoa, cool, Is that my mana manifest? Let's do it. And we point, and as we point and we send our crow to go bursting forward, we need a D12 because it does. I need to see some character sheets. Where is... Alright, that's right. It does 5d12. Alright. So, ooh, a 12 right off of the bat. A 12. Alright, 19. 21. 25. And 29. As the crow launches and flies forward, and he unleashes his burst of gravity. He unleashes his burst of gravity wave, which then destroys the ground and all around, exploding and ripping up all of the tree branches and trees and making them bend flat. And then he swoops down and around, and he caws, and as he caws, he lets forth elemental bursts from his mouth, two that are fire. Let's see. So, let's take a note real quick. Two that are fire, and they're like two little fireballs. Two that are bursts of water. Two that are wind streams that compress and become blades of wind, and then a burst of lightning, and then shards of metal, and lastly, the sound from the screech itself. As and then I forgot, not lastly, and earth. Forgot earth, and shards of rocks burst forth also from his mouth, as he unleashes all 7 elements, dealing a total of, let's see, so it puts him at this much health. Alright. And as he gets hit by all of these elements, like battering him, he gets burnt from the fire, taking an additional 10. He gets paralyzed by the lightning until the end of our next turn, so he can't do anything on his turn. And then the crow, after he does that, he comes down and he like lands on the eyes of cool, and he hits, and as he lands on his eyes, he's going to scratch at him. Nice. And he will alright. And he will scratch at his eyes before he like caws, and then like the mushroom begins to bat and like its arms all around, and let's see if it can smack it out of the sky or not. That's all. 4 plus 10, 14. Summon as I forgot to grab its character sheet. It's alright. I'll roll from this random table for now, and then we'll get its character sheet for next time. 1. Alright, so it's got... Alright, so it gets hit and knocked out. Alright, so yeah, it flails out of the sky, or he flails his arms, and he smacks the crow, and he slaps him down out of the sky, and it hits the ground, and it just bursts and makes like a poop sound as it like dissipates and whisks away, transforming back into mana as the mana dissipates into the earth and the plants and everything that's all around. And as that happens, my character begins to get angry, and as I'm like, because I can feel the pain of the crow that just got killed, and I'm going to use my, let's see, let's check out perception. Yeah, I'm going to use my perception to see if I can figure out how he was able to escape the paralysis early and escape our like break free from our bindings so easily. And let's see, I've got a 8 plus my 26. Yeah, that's plenty enough. So as we're looking to like try and see if we can find out anything like special about this creature. We notice that the ooze that he's secreting is not only purple, but it's mixed with like an orangish color, and the orangish color is mixed with a yellow, and the yellow is mixed with a blue, and so on. And it's all the colors of the base elements. And as we notice this, we realize, oh, this thing must be resistant to like all elemental damages. And as we think this, we are like, oh crap, maybe it really is a demon. And but that can't be. There's no such thing as a mushroom demon. This thing is just a... And as we think this, before we think it, we just say it out loud. Hey, you, mushroom, you're a fucking wannabe, aren't you? And he looks at us and goes, what? Wannabe? What do you mean, wannabe? I mean, as in you want to be a demon, but you're not really one, are you? And he goes, no, you don't believe me? Look at my power. Look at how fearsome and terrifying I am. Your foolish mortal friend couldn't even stand a chance against my little one's spores. Your little one's spores? You mean your children? No. My spores, that are little spores that sprout from me, that nourish me, and bring me back from my sleepy slumber of 200 years. Well, if you were asleep for only 200 years, then how come you were talking about the demons from 1,000 years ago? Shut up, boy. Everyone has dreams, and I will be the first ever mushroom king of demons. And we look at him and go, you just like to fucking eat people. Leave us alone. And there's like a whole tree of students I killed that way, like a couple days travel. They're probably rotten and nasty by now, but hey, you're a mushroom, you probably dig that rotten shit. And as we tell him this, he goes, I'm not evil. I only attack those who walk inside me and start smashing and stomping around and go, ooh, look at this nasty goo, while you're talking about my insides, you innocent little thinking, oh, I'm so mortal assholes. You're all a bunch of mortal assholes. No one understands fey creatures anymore. Leave me alone. I'll stay here and weep in sorrow for another 200 years. And as he's saying this, we're just going to be like, yeah, we don't want to deal with your shit, dude. Just promise you'll leave us alone whenever we come into the woods. And, because we're going to be joining the academy. And, other than that, you you can eat anyone else unless they're like our friend or something. And yeah, peace out, you 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 fucking mushroom loser. And as he just continues to weep and cry at us calling him a loser, and we go to like walk away, and then we turn around and we actually were like, wait a minute, hey yo, mushroom base. And he's like, I have a name. My name is Martin. Martin the Monster of Mushroom Man. And we're all right, Martin. You can calm down and stop crying. Like, you don't see us crying, and you just ate our fucking friend and turned her into a slimy, terrible, horrifying goop monster, you sick fuck. And he goes, well, I didn't eat no one. The goop just puts you to sleep and drains your mana. Wait, so Gracia's alive? Uh, she should be. And oh, okay, so cool. So one, can you like use your like weird mushroom Rudy powers to like, bring her from like one spore to the next to you to like, so we can like go. We're trying to get to our academy exams at the magic school, and we're like, I want to rest after today. Like, this has been some bull crap, man. We're just trying to find the second safe zone in the shifting woods, and like, I wasn't wanting to deal with all this Minecraft hallucinogenic, mind-altering mushroom bull crap. And as we say this, the mushroom is, oh, well, I'm kind of the guardian placed here by the headmaster. I protect the houses, you see. What do you mean? Just give me back Gracia, you whiny ass mushroom, and I'll talk to you about this whole protecting thing in the morning. Just show me where the damn dorms are. They're not dorms. The dorms are at the school. Just shut your mouth. And he goes, oh, okay. And then we like see like roots begin to like ripple and rip up in the ground, and like traveling up and down, up and down, up and down, as they're like carrying something off in the distance. Like, it's closer and closer, and then they like come up and put Gracia down at like our feet, and then we get, and the good boy, he like unwraps his vines as we get out of his vines, and we pick up Gracia, and we put her on top of him, and then we ask where the how housing is, he tells us. It's down over and to the left, but be warned, for you and I are not the only one. You will have to be met. What? That makes no sense. With? What are you talking about? Met? With? You know, no, met with? No, shut up as we walk around the corner and as we come to around the corner and we can just see the what looks like kind of old houses that have they look like they've been repaired, but there's a whole bunch of them. It looks like we've just come into an entire mining city. There's a bunch of houses, and there's 3 different roads, and there is like a big water tower, and there is trees, and there's a mountain, and like a cave or something. Can't quite see. It's from not far away in the back. And there's like bar and like horse. It looks like horse stables and all that kind of stuff. And as we walk, as we walk into the mining village that is presumably empty, that is where we will end for today's session. I hope you all have enjoyed this Halloween special, and next time we will pick up right where we left off with let's see, we'll probably be about here as we come in, and we'll roll to decide which one of the paths we want to take to explore this area first before we rest for the night and start week 3. So thank you all again. Like, subscribe, share this so everyone can see, and join us for more adventures.